Madison Square Garden, New York City. Backstage VIP area, Level B. Saturday night, September 16th, 1989, 11:30 p.m. The MTV Music Awards afterparty represents the intersection of music, celebrity, and cultural power, where record deals are negotiated over champagne, careers are made through strategic networking, and reputations can be built or destroyed in a single conversation. The backstage area pulses with controlled chaos. A-list musicians celebrate successful performances, record executives discuss multi-million-dollar deals, music journalists interview tomorrow's headlines, and industry insiders maintain the relationships that determine who stays relevant in America's fastest-changing entertainment medium. Mike Tyson moves through this environment like a curious observer, fascinated by a world completely different from boxing's brutal honesty. 23 years old, undisputed heavyweight champion, he's been invited as boxing's representative to music's biggest night, part of MTV's strategy to blend sports and entertainment into broader cultural programming. Mike wears a simple black tuxedo that emphasizes rather than conceals his physical presence. Even in formal wear among entertainment industry elite, his aura of contained violence makes him instantly recognizable and subconsciously respected. People create space around him not from fear, but from instinctive recognition that some individuals command different kinds of attention. Tonight, Mike is accompanied by his manager, Don King, who understands that crossing into entertainment territory requires different social skills than boxing promotion. King moves through the crowd with characteristic flamboyance, introducing Mike to music industry figures who might become valuable allies in expanding his cultural influence beyond sports. "Mike, you need to understand," King explains between introductions. "These music people, they respect success, but they measure it different than boxing. Album sales, cultural impact, street credibility, that's their language. Show them respect, and they'll show you respect back." Mike nods understanding, genuinely interested in learning how successful musicians navigate their industry. He's been listening to hip-hop increasingly, fascinated by artists who use words as weapons, who build empires from nothing, who transform street experiences into mainstream success. Across the backstage area, commanding attention from a circle of admirers, stands Marcus Big Money King, rap music's current golden child. 6'2", 200 pounds, wearing custom jewelry worth more than most people's houses, surrounded by an entourage that treats him like royalty because, in hip-hop terms, that's exactly what he is. Marcus represents everything that late 1980s rap culture celebrates. Street origins transformed into commercial success, lyrical skill converted into financial power, authenticity monetized without compromising credibility. 3 consecutive platinum albums have made him hip-hop's most bankable star, his influence extending far beyond music into fashion, culture, and social commentary. But Marcus's success has created dangerous delusions about his actual capabilities. Years of being treated as hip-hop royalty, surrounded by people who defer to his every opinion, have convinced him that his cultural power translates into real-world dominance. His lyrics about street toughness, his persona as an uncompromising warrior, his reputation for never backing down, all of it has blurred the line between artistic expression and personal reality. Tonight, Marcus notices Mike Tyson receiving attention from music industry figures and interprets it as threat to his own cultural dominance. In Marcus's mind, the backstage area belongs to music culture, where rappers are the ultimate symbols of power and authenticity. A boxer Even a champion represents outdated forms of strength that hip-hop has supposedly transcended. Marcus approaches Mike's conversation circle with deliberate swagger, his entourage following like a royal procession. His movement draws immediate attention from across the backstage area. Conversations pause, cameras turn, everyone senses that hip-hop royalty is about to make a statement. Mike is congratulating a young R&B artist on their performance when Marcus's voice cuts through the background music and conversation noise. So, this the scary boxer everyone talks about? The question carries across the VIP area with calculated volume, designed to draw maximum attention to whatever follows. Marcus positions himself close enough to Mike to appear confrontational without being overtly aggressive, playing to the crowd while maintaining plausible deniability. Mike turns from his conversation, recognizes Marcus immediately from MTV rotation and radio play, extends his hand respectfully. Marcus King, big fan of your music. Congratulations on the new album. Marcus looks at the extended hand, but doesn't shake it, instead using the moment to establish his perceived superiority over boxing's biggest star. Looking pretty soft to me, heavyweight. All that muscle, but probably never been in a real street fight. Boxing got rules, referees, doctors. The streets don't. The backstage area's energy shifts immediately. Music industry professionals recognize that Marcus just challenged Mike Tyson in front of witnesses, including MTV cameras that are recording everything for potential broadcast. This is either brilliant publicity or career suicide, depending on how Mike responds. In my world, Marcus continues, warming to his audience, real power comes from words, not fists. I built an empire with my mind, not my muscles. Violence is for people who ain't smart enough to make money with their brains. Don King attempts diplomatic intervention, recognizing the dangerous direction this conversation is heading. Marcus, Mike's a big supporter of hip-hop culture. Maybe we could... But Marcus cuts him off, his attention focused entirely on Mike. Nah, Don. I want to understand something. This dude's supposed to be the toughest man alive, right? But what's he really accomplished? He knocks out other muscleheads for rich, white men's entertainment. I transformed an entire culture, gave voice to the voiceless, became a millionaire by keeping it real. Mike listens to Marcus's assessment without visible offense or defensive reaction, studying the rapper with the kind of calm attention that experienced observers recognize as more dangerous than anger. Mike is reading Marcus, his body language, his crew's positioning, the psychology behind the public challenge. Smart enough? Mike asks quietly. Let me show you something about real power. Mike's response carries across the backstage area without him raising his voice. But something in his tone makes conversations stop throughout the VIP section. Industry executives, artists, journalists, everyone recognizes that the atmosphere just changed from celebrity networking to something much more serious. Marcus grins confidently, interpreting Mike's calm response as evidence that his assessment was correct. The feared heavyweight champion is just another athlete who can't handle intellectual challenges from street-smart entertainers. Show me what, boxer? You gonna hit me? In front of all these cameras? End your career over words? That's exactly what I mean about not being smart enough. Real power is knowing when violence makes you look weak, not strong. Mike considers Marcus's challenge, recognizing the strategic corner Marcus believes he's created. In Marcus's calculation, Mike either accepts verbal humiliation or responds with violence that will destroy his public image and career prospects. But Mike's response transcends Marcus's limited understanding of power dynamics. Instead of physical confrontation or verbal argument, Mike simply walks closer to Marcus, close enough to speak at conversational volume while ensuring everyone in the backstage area can hear clearly. Marcus, you're absolutely right about one thing. Real power does come from intelligence. So let me teach you something intelligent about respect. Mike's movement forces Marcus's entourage to step back slightly, not from fear, but from instinctive recognition that the energy has shifted in ways their boss hasn't anticipated. The circle of admirers that usually surrounds Marcus suddenly feels less protective, more exposed. You built a music empire. Impressive. You sell millions of records. Congratulations. You transformed street experiences into mainstream success. Respect. Mike's tone remains conversational, acknowledging Marcus's achievements without sarcasm or dismissal. But you made one critical mistake tonight. You confused artistic expression with personal capability. You confused performing toughness with being tough. You confused having an audience with having actual power. Marcus's confident expression begins shifting as he recognizes that Mike's response isn't following the script Marcus anticipated. This isn't the muscle-bound athlete who can't handle intellectual challenges. This is someone who understands power dynamics better than Marcus assumed. See, Marcus, in boxing, respect is earned through demonstration. You don't get respected because you talk about being tough. You get respected because you prove you can handle whatever anyone brings to you. That's the difference between our worlds. Mike gestures toward Marcus's entourage, his expensive jewelry, his designer clothes. All of this, the gold chains, the crew, the image, that's performance. It's impressive performance, but it's still performance. Take away the cameras, the audience, the record deal, and what's left is just you. Marcus realizes his public challenge is being turned into a public education, that Mike is using Marcus's own audience against him. The backstage crowd is listening intently, recognizing wisdom in Mike's analysis that transcends the original confrontation. But here's what you need to understand about real power, Mike continues, his voice carrying absolute authority despite remaining conversational. Real power doesn't need an audience. Real power doesn't need permission. Real power doesn't need to announce itself or prove itself to anyone. Mike takes one small step closer to Marcus, not aggressively but purposefully, creating psychological pressure without physical threat. Marcus instinctively steps back, his body language revealing nervousness that contradicts his verbal bravado. You want to know the difference between us? You perform toughness for people who will never challenge you. I am tough for people who challenge me professionally. You rap about street life for entertainment. I survived street life to become champion. You sell authenticity. I live authenticity. The backstage area is completely silent now except for Mike's voice and the distant sound of music from the main party. Every music industry figure present recognizes that they're witnessing a masterclass in psychological dominance that transcends both sports and entertainment. So here's your lesson about intelligence, Marcus. Intelligent people don't challenge someone's reputation unless they're prepared to discover that reputation is based on reality. You challenged me because you thought fame made you untouchable. But fame is just borrowed power. Real power is something you carry with you everywhere, whether cameras are rolling or not. Marcus swallows hard, his rap superstar confidence evaporating, as he realizes Mike's response has completely reframed their interaction. Instead of the expected physical confrontation or defensive reaction, Marcus is receiving education about power dynamics that makes his original challenge look childish. I didn't mean any disrespect, Marcus says finally, his voice lacking the commanding presence that characterized his approach to Mike's conversation circle. Mike extends his hand again, the same respectful gesture Marcus rejected minutes earlier. No disrespect taken. But next time you want to test someone's intelligence, make sure you understand what you're testing. Marcus shakes Mike's hand, recognizing that refusing would confirm everything Mike just explained about the difference between performing toughness and possessing it. Mike's grip is controlled, respectful, but Marcus immediately understands that his hand is completely under Mike's control. "Your music is impressive," Mike says as he releases Marcus's hand. "Your business success is remarkable. But don't confuse artistic achievement with personal capability. They're different kinds of power, and smart people understand the difference." Mike turns back to his original conversation as if the last 10 minutes were just casual interaction with a fellow entertainer. Don King nods approvingly, recognizing that Mike handled a potentially career-damaging situation with perfect psychological precision. Marcus stands motionless for a moment, his entourage uncertain how to respond to their boss being publicly educated by someone they expected him to dominate. The rapper who approached Mike with royal confidence now understands why some reputations are built on capabilities that can't be faked, performed, or marketed. The incident spreads through music industry circles within hours. By Monday morning, every major figure in hip-hop knows that big money Marcus King challenged Mike Tyson backstage and received a lesson about the difference between artistic toughness and actual capability. Marcus's career continues successfully, but his approach to real-world confrontations changes permanently. He never again confuses his lyrical persona with his actual abilities, and he becomes notably respectful when encountering athletes whose reputations are built on demonstrated capability rather than entertainment value. "Mike Tyson taught me something crucial that night," Marcus tells close friends months later. "I thought my success in music meant I was untouchable in every situation. Mike showed me that different worlds have different kinds of power, and smart people respect those differences instead of testing them." The backstage education becomes hip-hop folklore, repeated whenever rap artists encounter athletes whose fame is built on actual physical capability. It illustrates the importance of understanding that artistic expression and personal capability are separate forms of power that shouldn't be confused. MTV executives review the footage and decide not to broadcast it, recognizing that the incident reveals uncomfortable truths about celebrity culture that might alienate both boxing and music audiences. But the story spreads through industry insiders who understand its significance. Years later, when Mike's career takes its various turns, Marcus King always defends him in music industry circles. "Mike Tyson could have embarrassed me that night," Marcus tells hip-hop journalists. "Instead, he educated me. That showed more class than any violence could have demonstrated." Don King uses the incident as example of Mike's intelligence and restraint, demonstrating that his fighter possesses psychological understanding that transcends pure physical capability. Mike showed that real champions handled challenges with wisdom, not just power, King tells boxing reporters. The lesson transcends entertainment industry politics. It's about understanding different forms of power, about respecting capabilities that can't be performed or faked, about the difference between artistic expression and personal ability. Everyone in that backstage area learned that lesson watching Mike educate Marcus without humiliating him. Marcus King learned it most directly, trading his assumptions about cultural dominance for understanding that some forms of respect must be earned rather than demanded. And Mike Tyson? Mike continued networking with music industry figures, building relationships that would serve his interests long after his boxing career ended. Because for him, educating a rap superstar was just another evening proving that real power doesn't need to prove itself. It just needs to be recognized by people intelligent enough to understand it when they encounter it. Madison Square Garden still hosts major entertainment events, but music industry veterans will tell newcomers about the night Mike Tyson showed hip-hop, that some people's reputations are built on capabilities that no amount of artistic expression can replicate or replace.